Well, we've had pretty good work this week. It's been a little warm, but I think this is probably good for our players. Probably that's the kind of circumstance on Saturday. Focus has been, we got to play to our standard, the challenge of playing to your standard on the road, staying focused, no mental clutter, good communication, and we're playing a really good team. So all these things become really, really important. But I think everybody's got to understand that we have to work to deserve success. You're never entitled to it, no matter what you've accomplished or done in the past, individually or collectively as a team. So everybody's got to embrace the challenge of the SEC, the difficulty of the conference, the consistency in performance that you need to have play in, play out, game in, game out. So that's really the focus, that we have with our team right now, and everybody seems like they've responded pretty well.
We'll start up here with Mark. Just wondering what you've seen from the return game in terms of the guys actually returning, but also the blockers and how they try to set some of those up.
Well, we haven't had many opportunities. We haven't really gotten much out of our return game. It hasn't been bad. It hasn't been a negative. But the goal is to average a first down on punt returns. We haven't had many opportunities, but we got to get better at holding them up. We did block a punt, so that was a positive. Kickoff return, we haven't had many opportunities, but the opportunity that we have, we want to get drive starts, out there by the 30-yard line, and we haven't really accomplished that. So those are both two areas where we need to continue to improve and work. I think the returners have done fine. They've done a good job of handling the ball. I just think we have to do a better job of executing the returns so that they have an opportunity to make plays.
Back over here with Michael. Just wondered how Josh Jacobs was looking since he came back from his injury, and what the plan is for him going forward.
Well, you saw him play 3 or 4 plays in a game. So you know as much about how good he is as I do. You saw the game, right? Yeah, all right. So he is what he is. We didn't want to play him too much in that game, try to feel his way back. He's done more in practice this week, so hopefully he'll make a bigger contribution in the game. And that's our plan right now.
Hey, Dave, you told me a few months ago you have that defensive eye, and when you look at a defense, obviously, sometimes you can help your offense because you know how to attack it. Is that the case this week with a defense like Vandy?
Well, they are really good on defense. They're good because they got really good players. They're very aggressive. They got a good scheme. They don't make very many mental errors on defense. They're good enough in the secondary to match up with you and play man-to-man. So if you can't beat man-to-man coverage, you're going to have, some issues and problems. They do a lot of stemming and moving up front. So it's really going to be important to communicate well so the offensive line can execute and change the calls that they need to make. This is an attacking. When I say attacking, I don't mean necessarily blitzing attacking, but I'm talking about striking, upfield, being very aggressive, playing downhill with the linebackers, and they do a really good job of that. So I don't know that there's, any magic other than we're going to have to do a really, really good job of executing. Got to take care of the football against guys like this. They've been pretty ball hawk oriented in terms of their turnovers.
Got a couple more right here than Alex.
How much do you think volume of plays and, time of possession or, lack of time of possession maybe on offense leads to more yardage given up and defensive lapses, or do you think the defensive lapses again create the?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, when you play defense, you don't get off the field on third down. You extend drives. All right, so rather than being 3 and out, you end up playing 10 plays. Like in the fourth quarter, if that's what you're alluding to, they had lots of plays and scored 14 points, but we gave 3 first downs on penalties, on third down, where we would have gotten off the field. So that extended a drive that they eventually scored on. So we didn't have a lot of opportunities on offense, and when we did, we didn't keep the ball very well. So it's kind of in that time in the game, in the fourth quarter. So it's a combination of both those things. I mean, if we'd have controlled the tempo of the game, we'd have had more plays, they'd have had less if we'd have got off the field when we're supposed to get off the field on third down. So it really basically comes down to execution on both sides of the ball. You know, like Clemson had all the plays that they had in the game last year because we didn't stop them on defense, but when we had opportunities on offense, we didn't keep the ball. We had 4 drives where we were 4 plays or less than out, you know, in the second half. So it's a combination of both. It's not one or the other. It's a combination of both.
We'll wrap things up here with Alex.
Earlier this year, you were critical of your pass pro protection of the offensive line. It seems like watching NFL and other leagues as well, that's an issue all across football right now. Why do you think that is, and what are things that can maybe correct that, maybe specifically to your team?
Right. Well, I've never really been critical of the protection. I've just said that we need to improve it. I think there's a difference in that. All right. It may be semantics to you. All right, but to me, in one, we're taking the responsibility for trying to help the players. We're not being negative toward the players and what they're doing. All right, so, and that's something that I think was a little better in the last game. But I think there's a lot of multitude of blitzes and pressures and things that people see. Obviously, people who open up more and getting 4 wideouts, you know, you put more pressure on the offensive line relative to how you can give them help, because it's got to be 5 or 6 man protection. That's the best you can do. I think the game has changed where people look because of style of play for faster players to play defense. All right, so you're looking for guys that, you know, are really good in situations like that because that's what the game has become. If some of the guys that play now that are very, very good players would have played 20 years ago when people were in regular formations running the ball, they wouldn't have been in a position they could play. So the style of play and the style of players has changed, relatively speaking. You know, in our case, you know, we've lost 4 or 5 of the best pass rushers that we have. All right, so that's had, you know, some effect, you know, on the kind of edge rushers that we can have and the kind of multiples of things that you can do with those kind of players.
Okay, Coach, that's it.
All right, thank you.